Goldstein with SRQ Market Pulse. With insurance rates rising, commercial property owners often consider whether they really need flood insurance. Today we're going to talk more about that with Patrick DelMedico of Shepherd Insurance.
What should real estate clients be thinking about related to flood insurance?
So I think I started off by saying it's probably the one coverage that we routinely see people say, I don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely the one coverage that we saw after Ian that people wish they had.
Mm-hmm.
And before we started, we were talking a little bit about the difference between wind-driven rain and rising water. So flood is rising water, right?
Okay.
And wind-driven rain is more wind coverage. And when Ian happened or the hurricanes happen, this is where the debate gets in, and the carriers are like, NFIP is saying no, this is not, rising water. Carriers saying no, it's not caused by the rain, and so it can be a very difficult discussion.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we always suggest getting both, right?
Okay.
So that there's not a discussion. But we try to educate people through the difference and what that means.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's hard to digest that in every situation, but I would tell you this: flood insurance is fairly inexpensive,
Mm-hmm.
And the coverage that it can give you is typically exactly what you need when situations like Ian happen.
Okay.
So
Okay.
hope that helps.
All right, but let me drill down with that, because
Yeah.
we just had the flood maps change
Yeah.
in Florida. And the classic is, I don't need it because I'm not
In a
rated
flood
as
zone.
in a flood zone. And
So-
what were the situations here with people
so
who weren't
the-
in a flood zone?
So the thing I always say is remember Houston,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I don't want to be like the doom and gloom guy, but that thousands of square acres were flooded
Mm-hmm.
in Houston. It's in Texas, right?
Right.
And so people didn't realize. Everybody said no, right?
Mhm.
I'll give you an example. Even just with me, after Ian, I do not live in a flood zone. I have fled from my home. I had a room flood.
Mhm.
I'm probably 8 miles from the water at least. And I had FEMA come out, and they searched, and I did have a water line from rising water,
Mhm.
and they determined I had a flood claim,
Okay.
and they covered my loss.
Mm-hmm.
If I wouldn't have had it, that would have been $15,000 out of my pocket,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I went back and I looked, and I think, my coverage was, it was less than $1,500,
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I always tell people, you never know what your situation is, and there, again, that is where the risk, thought process of the owner comes
Mhm.
into play. Do they want to spend an extra, $1,000 to $3,000 for that protection that they feel may hit
Mm-hmm.
only in a disaster situation?
Right. Okay.
So,
And
but-
if somebody's in a flood zone, is it often where they have to get Florida insurance or citizens insurance?
Yeah, so, and again, it's lender specific, right? But the flood position has changed. They say I'm not in a flood zone. There's really, I like to say there's not really zones anymore, because even though they redid the maps, we have situations where properties are on different planes, like
Mhm.
literally splitting a zone.
Okay.
And again, it's going to come up to the carrier
Mm-hmm.
to determine what do they want to do, how do they want to rate that, how do they want to rate the building, right?
Wow. Okay.
So
I would get granular.
it can get really granular. Yeah, and that's why we say, assess your risk, and we always say we would highly suggest it, because
Mhm.
it's just one of those things where we've seen too many bad things happen to too many good people.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.